So finding the percent of a number is what we're going to start with first, and you can use a calculator for that. So first of all, if I wrote out 45% of 300 is. So let's talk about the two words in this problem, the of and the is, because these two words always mean the same thing in math, no matter what we're talking about, what skill we're talking about. What does the word of mean in math? Multiply. And what does the word is mean? Equals. Good. Like if I said 5 plus 2 is 7. Is means equals. So we're doing 45% times 300 to get our answer. Now, we cannot put 45% in our calculator, most calculators. You want to turn 45% into a decimal. How do you convert a percent into a decimal, Ethan Feltner? How many places? All right, is it always 2 places? Or is it just when you have 2 digits? Always 2 places. Move 2 left. Always 2. Always, 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 always. So in a percentage like 45%, when we have 2 digits, most people always get that thing right, and they make it 0.45. But it's when we have other percentages like 3% or 120% that people get messed up on. So 0.45 times 300, this is what would go into your calculator. So that's why you have your calculator right there. And if you do 0.45 times 300, you get 135. I asked everyone to grab a calculator. Any questions about this one before I make it a little bit harder? So you've done this before, right? Yes? So let's do, if I asked you 5% of 120. 5% of 120 is what? So again, we need to write our percent as a decimal, and we said to move it 2 places. So first of all, let's make sure we have that figured out. If we're moving that decimal 2 places, how am I going to rewrite this? Perfect. 0.05. So there's a lot of people that incorrectly use 0.5. 0.5 is 50%, half. Okay? So 5% and 50%, big difference. So 0.05 times 120 is, enters, 6. We okay with that? Let's do one more, and then we'll start talking about leaving a tip. What if I wanted to find 130% of 80? Again, 130% of 80 is what? Now, more than 100, 100% would be 80. So more than 100 is going to be more than 80. Think about that. Make sure your answers are making sense. We want to write 130% as a decimal, which would be what? Moving it, again, 2 places. So 1.3 or 1.30, doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and put the 0 on there to not confuse anyone. Times 80 is 104. Okay, so percent of a number. So we have to be able to do this to be able to find tip, to be able to find commission. Tomorrow we're going to talk about finding a sale price, find a discount. We're going to need to be able to use this skill, okay? So that's why I wanted to review it real quick. All right, so now let's start talking about tip. Now, usually when I think about leaving a tip, I think about going to a restaurant, and I'm not talking about McDonald's. You don't tip at McDonald's, okay? I'm talking about a sit-down restaurant where someone is coming and waiting on you, bringing you your drink, bringing you your food, all those kind of things. It is not against the law not to leave a tip. However, it is expected that you do leave a tip, okay? So you should not go out to dinner if you can't afford to leave a tip. And if there's something wrong with your service or something wrong with your food and you're upset, you should talk to a manager before you don't leave a tip, okay? So just kind of putting that out there. Typically when people leave a tip, it ranges between 15% to 20% is normal. So the better the service, the higher the tip would be. Some people leave even more than 20%. But again, standard is between 15 to 20%. But on these problems, I'm going to tell you what percent we're going to leave, okay? So let's say that you go out to dinner and the food bill, now the food bill, when you get the bill, it already includes the tax on there. So you never have to worry about calculating the tax yourself. The food bill, which would include the tax, is $26.50. And service was okay, not great. So I'm going to leave a 15% tip. So what I want to figure out is, first, how much money am I leaving for a tip? And second, how much is my total bill going to be? So let's calculate the tip first. What should I do to find tip, you think? So I'm going to do 15% of the food bill, which is $26.50. So that's what we just practiced, right? So 15% would be rewritten as 0.15 of its times $26.50. Now, quite often you get where you have to round your answer, so we'll talk about some of those too. Like this one. So your calculator said 3.975, correct? 3.975. But we all know that if we're talking about money, then we can only have 2 digits after our decimal. Now, rounding, for whatever reason, is super hard for a lot of people. So when you're rounding this, your options are $3.97, leave it alone, or $3.98, make it one higher. But the number that determines if we leave it the same or round up is actually the third digit. So since the third digit is a 5, the 5 tells you to do what? Add up. So 5 or more erase a score. You all were taught that saying, right? Yes. So $3.98 is going to be our tip. Questions about how I found the tip? Now, we said the other thing that I wanted you to find was not just the tip, but I wanted you to find the total bill. How would I find the total bill? Add what together? All right, so I need to add the food bill, which was $26.50, plus the tip, which the rounded tip, which was $3.98. Okay, so again, the food bill plus the tip. Now, we shouldn't have to round at all on this once we get to this step. $26.50 plus $3.98. $30.48. So again, when you take this, when you do this question on that test, there's going to be one of these, but it's worth 2 points because you're getting a point for finding the tip and you're getting a point for finding the total bill. Do you want to do another one of these, or do you understand that? Let's talk about commission now. So commission, raise your hand if you've even heard of the word commission. Okay, so not tons of people. Another name for commission would be a bonus. So a lot of times people that are in sales positions, they're selling stuff for a living, the more they sell, the more money they are going to make, and it's for commission. So it really motivates people to sell stuff, okay? For instance, let's say for the week, a person makes $100 plus 5% commission on sales. So that means no matter how much they sell, they're going to be making $100, which is not enough to live on for the week. So they are really relying on their sales for the week also. Okay? Now, maybe they have a really good week and they earn a whole bunch of money. Maybe they have a really bad week and they don't earn very much money at all. Question? No, we're not finding 5% of this. This person is getting $100 no matter what. Okay? Plus how a 5% commission on how much they sell. I haven't talked about how much they sold yet. Okay? So let's say for this person, I'm just making an example, that last week they sold $26,000 worth of merchandise. So yeah, if you were a car salesman, a new car, that might be one car, okay? So they earn $100 plus 5% of $26,000. They're not getting $26,000. The car lot, that company isn't getting that money. They're just getting 5% of that. So first of all, we need to find 5% of $26,000, which would be 0.05 times 26,000. So did you get 1,300? Did you get 1,300 for that? All right, so again, the salesperson, they made $100 plus 5% of what they sold, which was 1,300. So total that they get would be that 100 plus the 1,300, which would, yes, be $1,400. So again, when you work on commission, it motivates you to work hard to sell more stuff. And I know you've all heard the Shane Company commercials, right? Yeah. So one of the commercials talks about the employees not... One of the commercials talks about the employees not working on commission there. Now, an advantage as you, a consumer, we're consumers, we buy things, we're not working there. If we go in to buy something at the Shane Company, those people are getting their money regardless of if they sell it or not. So there's not pressure to buy. But when people work on commission and you go somewhere as a consumer, you feel pressure because they want you to buy stuff because that means they make money. Okay? So as a consumer, it's nice to go places that people are not working on commission because they're not pushing you as much. Question? All right, so I'm going to go ahead